WV Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacy and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to West Virginia Uncommon Place. Today, we are about to go over a topic, a subject. We have a person with us that is experienced, has expertise, does everything, and knows a vast amount, because I never want to say anybody knows every single thing. But I have with me today, I have Lisa Snyder, and she's an astrologer. She's all the way in South Africa, and the only reason I like to say that is because it's far away from me, because I'm all the way up in the northern hemisphere in the cold mountains of West Virginia. She's in South Africa. What's the temperature like, Lisa?
I'll be talking about 30 degrees. I'm not quite sure what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's pretty hot. I can walk around outside in a t-shirt, and the kids are swimming today in the pool. So it's beautiful weather, absolutely glorious.
All right. So one thing about the show, one thing is very nostalgic about the show. Before we go any further, audience, I do want to let you know the title of this episode. This episode is entitled Astrology 101. Here's a little bit for me to say here about this. I like astrology, but I do not know a lot about it. The things that happen in school in America is we're taught a very limited bit of astrology. They put the science portion into it, and then they try to pull you away from it. So as I've gotten older, I've learned more, and some people want to place spirituality inside of it. I'm going to place it just like this. If you know astrology, and then you take every other thought pattern and things that you use as thought processes, it formulates. And the formulation gives you, goes hand in hand in the equation, and it gives you an answer. So, Lisa, before we get too far, the nostalgia question we ask is, who is Lisa Snyder? We ask who you are. We want to know who you are first before we get deep into this. So please tell us who you are. Give us some interesting facts about yourself. And my main question before we go any further is this. I want to know what got you into astrology after you do all the spiel about yourself.
All right. Well, that is quite a long story about what got me into astrology, but it all started, well, I'm 40, I'm 48. I'm 40. That's right, I'm 48. Forgot how old I was. And I got my first astrological reading when I was about 14 years old. My parents have always been very open-minded to things like the occult. My mother is actually a yoga teacher here, and she practices Hinduism. My father is a scientist, so I was brought up in just mixed cultures, mixed religions. My mother's also Jewish, my father's Christian. So I was open and taught a lot of different things in life. And astrology, which is something that was introduced to me. And like I said, I got my first reading when I was 14, and I was absolutely hooked. So I've studied many different astrology courses, and I'm an educator by trade. I've got 2 different private colleges in South Africa, not to do with astrology, but they're also my passion. I've got a college in fitness and another college in digital marketing, and we'll see where the astrology takes me. But I think that's the ultimate goal. One day is to get a college together, but that's many, many years down the line. But right now it's all about studying astrology and studying people and learning more about people. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. So let me get started here. And this is for the novice. This is what we're doing the show for. I really appreciate you coming on for that. So I guess, how do the stars, sun, and moon shape our world? Like how do they shape us inside astrology? Could you give us like the like? Could you take us on a college course real quick and let us know the basics, the beginnings of astrology?
Sure, absolutely. So, astrology is the influence that cosmic objects like stars and planets have on human lives. The position of the stars and the moon and the planets at the time of a person's birth. So, not conception, it's not when you were made, it's the time of your birth, is said to shape the personality, the effects of it, affect your romantic lives, your relationships, your health, your money, and a whole different array of things. So what most people know about is just their sign. And I say that quote unquote, because what most people know is sun sign astrology. So if I was to ask anyone, hey, what's your sign? They would immediately say, I'm a Pisces, or I'm a Sagittarius, or I'm an Aries. But that really is just the tip of the iceberg in astrology is your sun. And I'll tell you why. Because the sun literally just sits in one of your houses in astrology. And there are 12 different houses with astrology. So your sun obviously is very powerful. It lights up that specific house, and we'll get into that. But it is only just your one house. And there's many other planets and there's many other facets. So astrology is not two-dimensional. It's like six-dimensional. I mean, there are so many different dimensions with astrology that you can pick away as much as you want and would be here for years and years and years just really discussing astrology and signs and planets and houses and aspects and all of that. So to produce a more accurate reading, astrologers check to see where the planets were at a person's time of birth. And this would give you a more accurate reading. And there's also a saying that I thought about earlier, and it says, you are the universe. And to me, this is quite fitting when it comes to astrology. So our universe is basically, we know the universe is our center, it's the earth, then it's the sun, and as far as we can see. So call that our universe. And there are 12 zodiac houses, and they all fit into this little round circle that is personalized to you, which is your zodiac house. So a bit of you is everything. So you may say to me, Lisa, I am a Pisces. But I say, you know what? You're also a Sagittarius, and you're also an Aries, and you're also a Leo, because you have a bit of you in everything. So that's why I thought you are the universe is so perfectly coined when it comes to astrology. So the planet and the sign combined with their elements and their houses and the angles form a complex and often very specific profile of a subject of a person's life and their future prospects. So today I'm going to break it down into its smallest components to avoid any overwhelm and to help you understand astrology a little bit better and to hopefully make you understand yourself a little bit better. That's the amazing thing about astrology, is that once you understand astrology and you understand your personal roadmap and your personal, how you actually made up in astrology, you get to understand yourself a little bit better, and there's not that criticism. Oh, why am I like this? Why do I get angry for this? Oh, I'm so stupid. It takes out all of that clutter out of a person's mind and that negative self-talk. And you really begin to understand yourself fully. And once you understand yourself fully, you can then look at another person's chart and you can become more empathetic towards other human beings and why they are like they are and why they experience things in the way that they experience things, because they have their planets in certain houses and because their planets are aspected differently with each other. And that's what makes astrology just so unique and so amazing, that everyone is completely different, yet it's all harmonious. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense. So look, real quick, I just want to do this because there's some stigmas. There's some stigmas that go along with astrology. And this is completely off topic because I always throw something in there that's not in there. So we're not fully prepared because we don't want to be scripted or anything. So here's the thing. Here's one stigma that I get caught with sometimes when I was younger thinking about astrology. When you would see not the tarot card readers or anything like that, but for some reason, I don't know why it was entrenched in my mind that astrology gave me a predestination. And as I got older, I found that it doesn't give you a predestination. There's nothing predestined about anything you do. Circumstance, consequence, and things happen, but things can give you a better concept of what could happen. So
exactly.
So how do you break people that have that premonition that there's a predestination inside astrology?
There's always free will. You're born into this world, and what astrology does is it shows you how you are and what you're made up of and the things that you are good at and the approach to life that you should possibly take to get the best outcome of your life. But there's always free will, and people at the end of the day will do what they want. And a person can always tap into their darker energies as well. So astrology is there to basically tap you on the shoulder and say, I think maybe you're falling out of line, or this is not where you're meant to be going, or this is not what you're good at. But nothing is predestined in this world. There is free will with absolutely everyone. And there's many possibilities that that the planets can give you, that the different houses can give you, and we'll break that up in this podcast. So all the planets have different meanings, and the different houses in astrology, they all have different meanings and different connotations. So there's many different directions that you can take with astrology. The planets are just there on a birth chart just to point you in the right direction and say, look here, this is the direction that you can take, and this is what you can be good at. So that's all that it is, really. Or to show you, listen, you're not so good at this, and maybe you should try something different. So it's a wonderful science.
And I like that, and I appreciate that, because so many times, when people put stigmas on things, people just already have a negative outlook going into something, even though they want a positive result. And that happens in anything we do in life. Like when you go take your car to car wash, you hope that automated machine does the right thing, but you know that two humans were cleaning your car, going to clean it better than that machine. So I thank you for that. Now, moving over a little bit, I know you're about to start on the zodiac signs. So here's my question about the 12 zodiac signs first off.
Okay.
Can we get a brief history? This is what I don't know. I don't know actually where the zodiac signs are derived from. Like, do they have a place in history? Because, like we're taught the alphabet came from the Phoenicians. A lot of our algebra expressions, a lot of stuff comes from the Phoenicians, basically. So where was this derived from?
Okay, so astrology was derived from obviously ancient times, but it was from different kinds of civilizations. So it was the Babylonians that had astrology, and it was also the Egyptians that had astrologies as well. And so what we know as Western astrologers now is basically a mix between Babylonians, Greeks as well, and Egyptians, and it's all sort of meshed in one. And that's exactly where it came from. So it is ancient, and I know that maybe there's listeners out there that don't like to hear this, but the three wise men, in the Bible, the three wise men that found Jesus, they were actually astrologers. They were following stars where they found Jesus. So they were actually astrologers. So astrology has been around since Jesus Day. It's been around for that long. It's biblical times.
Okay. So it's something that could have started. Actually, it's probably started with the cavemen, or once we got to a certain evolution, we looked up and we saw.
Absolutely. So what did we have? I mean, we had absolutely nothing as cavemen, right? I mean, there was only the stars to guide us, the stars and the planets. And you can imagine there wasn't any pollution then. So can you imagine how magnificent it was when you looked up in the stars and the stratosphere and you saw these amazing planets and you didn't know much. So you naturally thought that, they were superstitious people, and they made up all the myths of astrology, and it was passed down from generation to generation to make sense of it, of what we actually know of now.
Okay, I like that. Now let's dive into these zodiac signs, because this is what everybody goes on about.
Sure. Well, there's zodiac signs in astrology. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg with astrology.
So I'll give a little
signs.
I'll give a little spiel.
We got to start somewhere, right?
Right. So I'll give a little spiel here real quick before we get started on this. And this is not anything based on truly dating, but at least in the States, whenever someone would use their zodiac sign as a deterrent, or they would let you know, like a Gemini says, I've got two personalities, I got this and that, people would attribute their bad behaviors to their zodiac signs. Now, for instance, I'm a Cancer. I'm born in July, so water sign. People would try to find all kinds of things to relate to this and figure a way to make up for their bad behaviors by using zodiac signs. So in my life, when someone says, no, here goes that Capricorn, or blah, 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 or that Sagittarius.
Yeah, exactly. So you could say, I'm a Capricorn season now. So you could say, you're the party poopers of the zodiac, and you're not into any partying, and all you want to do is make money, and you're too driven. And, I think there's stereotypes to every single zodiac sign that you can, I think the only way to understand it, and the way people understand it, is to stereotype it. Because if you stereotype it, then you can make an excuse for your behavior. So maybe a person would say, I'm sorry, I'm so drunk, but I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius absolutely love to party. So that's exactly why I'm drunk. So you'd have to forgive them, right? But it's, people will use any kind of excuses really to get them out of bad situations, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So Lisa, let's start it off. What's the first zodiac sign you're going to teach us about?
Okay, all right. So we've got the first in the zodiac sign, which is an Aries. So I'm actually an Aries. So people Aries as the baby of astrology, because it's the first of the zodiac sign. So if you were born between the 21st of March and the 19th of April, you would have your sun in Aries. However, like I said to you, everyone has Aries somewhere in their zodiac belt. So you may not have your sun sign in Aries, but maybe you have your Jupiter in Aries, which would give you a Jupiterian Arian sign. So Aries is the fire sign, which means that they are very passionate, they're very motivated, and they're also very driven. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Mars is the warrior and the fighter of the planet. It rules action, and it also rules aggression. So Aries are also what they call cardinal signs. And a cardinal sign starts in the beginning of a season. So here in the Southern Hemisphere, late March marks the autumn or fall as you know it. And in the Northern Hemisphere, where you are, it marks the beginning of spring. So cardinal signs are known to be the initiators of the zodiac, and they like to get things going. So yeah, that's all about Aries. I think they're absolutely fabulous.
Okay, now my question, just a real simple one. Why is Aries the first sign in the zodiac? The first is the first house of the zodiac.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. So in astrology, we call that zodiacal order. And this refers to the way that the zodiacs basically spin on its axis. So the zodiacs spin counterclockwise order, and there are 12 zodiac signs, and it counts basically how the signs run through the axis as the world turns. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Exactly. So it starts at Aries, which is like the baby, and it ends with Pisces.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's the next?
So Aries is known, like I said, to be the baby of the zodiac, and then Pisces is meant to be the most spiritual one of the zodiac, because they're the ones that gather all of the spiritual information from all the other signs. So Aries, you're just starting out life. And then for Pisces, it's like the ending of life. So I'll explain as we go. So like Pisces is also represented in the 12th house, which is like the ending of life. But anyway, I'm not going to get above too ahead. Let's carry on through all of the signs. And so I don't want to get you too confused. So the next zodiac sign we're going to talk about is Taurus.
Ooh.
So Taurus is the second zodiac house. If you have a Taurus sun sign, you were born from the 20th of April to the 20th of May. They are very methodical people. They're slow to react. They enjoy the comforts of life. And again, everyone's got a Taurus somewhere in their zodiac house. So Taurus is an earth sign. This makes them sensible, stable, and pragmatic. Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So Venus rules anything that's got to do with money and beauty. And if you think about it, all those things are practical, worldly issues. So the sign of Taurus likes anything sensual and beautiful, like gorgeous food, art, comfy clothes. So a lot of the memes you'll see about Taurus are Taurus being snug in a bug in a rug or eating a big burger. And that's because they just love anything sensual and anything that's comfortable. That's Taurus for you. So Taurus is a fixed sign, which means they are the stabilizers of the zodiac. This is a reliable and sensible sign. They come in the middle of each season. So in the Northern Hemisphere, it would mark the middle of spring. You can think of the big signs like being project managers, and they like to keep everything organized and in line, so they're very, very pragmatic people.
Okay. So why is a Taurus a fixed sign? That's the question that I have, because I was just like, why do they deserve to be a fixed sign? Why are they a fixed sign?
Exactly. So why do they deserve that, right? And so fixed signs are always in the middle of the season. So like I said, May is the middle of spring. So that is a fixed sign. So all the fixed signs, and we'll go through all of them, they are all pragmatic, they're dependable, they're relatable. So think of a bull, which is Taurus. They are pragmatic and dependable, and they're not really movable. So think about a big bull in a field, and they're big and heavy, and they got that round bull nose ring, and you can't move them, and they're stubborn, and they're dependable, and that's Taurus, and that is a fixed sign.
Okay. And I like that. I like that example you gave right there, because I can see a bull or steer just being that tough.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you can imagine that it takes a lot for a bull to also lose their temper. So, in Spain, they do something in July. I don't know if they do it anymore. But when I was growing up, they used to do something called the bull run in Spain. So I don't know if they still do that. But so what they used to do is they used to get this bull who was like really lazy, and they used to wave red at the bull. And they'd have to really wave that red flag at the bull to make it angry. And then it would charge through the streets of Spain, And it would be a big joke for all the guys to see if they could dodge the bull. I mean, it's actually very, very dangerous, because if a bull knocks you over, you're pretty much dead, like tickets for you. But that is a bull. It is just slow, and it's very, very hard to get a bull or a Taurian angry. But once they get angry, they are absolutely furious, and there's just no letting go.
So the
Funny,
temperament, yeah, it's just that temperament. So the temperament, got to be careful with the Taurus.
Exactly.
Definitely got to be careful.
So the next one we're going to talk about is Gemini, which
Ooh.
is the third house of the zodiac. So Gemini sometimes get a bad rap as being two-faced, like you said in the beginning of this podcast, but they're actually not really. So I'll tell you a little bit about Gemini. So if you have a Gemini sun, you were born on the 21st of May until the 20th of June. They are known to be the social butterflies of the zodiac, and they're quick thinkers, and they're the socialites of the zodiac. They love to socialize and to make friends. Gemini is an air sign, and this means that they are intellectuals. They usually live in their heads and in their own worlds. They love to analyze things, to synthesize things, and to probe. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. Mercury is a very, very quick planet. So it's all about thought and communication. And if you think about this, this is very fitting for Gemini, as they love to communicate. They also love to learn new things. And they often you'll find that they have a massive capacity of learning all new things about different subjects. But they often lack the capacity to hone in on a certain subject and to be able to become masters of it. So that's a Gemini. Nothing bad about them. That's a Gemini. They are a mutable sign, and that means they are the transformers of the zodiac. They're super adaptable to situations in life. They're not stubborn people, and they're always open to new ideas and new opinions and new ways of thinking about things.
Okay. So why are Gemini mutable signs? Like, why does this occur with Geminis?
Okay, so a mutable sign starts when the season is ending. So Geminis would be the ending of the spring season. And they're mutable because they are flexible. They're flexible personalities. The other signs which are mutable are Sagittarius and Pisces as well, which means that they are open-minded and they can see situations from all different angles.
Okay. Because the thing with Gemini, like whenever I've dealt with Geminis in my life, they always say, there's two sides to me. There's four sides. There's six sides.
But you see, that's the excuses that they're giving you again, right?
Yes. But one thing I will say, though, that with Gemini that I work with in the type of job that I do, they are multifaceted in thought. You may think linear, but their expression is all over the board. So I will say that Geminis do make the world go round with their thought processes.
They do, and that's exactly that because they're ruled by Mercury. So Mercury is one of the fastest planets in the zodiac. It spins around very, very quickly. So just like the Gemini's personality or their thought processes are very, very fast. So we'll get into this later in the podcast, but anything to do with communication, written communication, oral communication, auditory communication, and even things like the post office or emails or anything to do with communication is basically ruled by the sign of Gemini. I mean, of Mercury. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Okay, so we're going to cover your sign now. So you said to me you are a Cancer.
Yes.
So if you were a Cancer, as you would know, you were born between the 21st of June and the 22nd of July. These are the feelers of the zodiac belt. They are highly intuitive people. And because of this, they sometimes are very emotional. I personally think that they're very emotional because they feel everyone else's emotions so deeply. They're like sponges. They take it upon themselves. So Cancer is a water sign, and water signs are deep and emotional. They can sometimes be very psychic and very intuitive as well. Cancers are ruled by the moon. So they are very caring, maternal, and their emotions are sometimes wavering, just like the moon does to the ocean. Like when the moon is full, the ocean will move back and forth. And
Yes.
This is exactly, and this is exactly what the moon does to the feelings of a Cancer. So one minute they'll be in a good mood, and the other minute they'll be in a bad mood. And they can use that as an excuse. Say, I'm ruled by the moon, so I've just got my emotions are all over the show. So if I'm happy in the morning and I'm sad in the afternoon, don't blame me, blame the moon. So Cancer is another cardinal sign, just like Aries. So it marks the beginning of summer in the Northern Hemisphere and the beginning of winter down here in the South, in South Africa.
All right, so you kind of explained there about the cardinal sign. One thing I want to dig into with being a Cancer, I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, because this is what happens to me. I can meet people, and I meet people at a certain level when I start with them. I'll give people the utmost respect, mutual respect, and the further and further I learn about people, you build a bond and things like that. So I have this thing, like I talk about a lot in my podcast, at my memories museum, and then I have my heart. And as I've gotten older, I'm 37 now, so I've learned how to differentiate good feelings, positive things, and negative things. You have to have positive, negative to live, but you don't have to have a continuous negative low. So in what you said there, I know, like, sometimes with certain people, I'll let them get to me. And then it's others that I just have this fortress that they just can't get through. So it's amazing to see that I'm fortified in my emotions, and you telling me that.
Exactly. But, if you look at the Cancer is a crab, right?
Yes.
So the crab has a hard shell, right? So it's hard to get into the Cancer because they've got a shell that's actually protecting them. But they're soft and they're mushy on the inside. So when you really get to know a Cancer, and a Cancer gets to know you and love you, and, the exchanges start happening, they'll let you into their hard shell, But initially, they're all about that tough exterior, and you won't be able to really penetrate their shell unless they actually trust you and they feel you with their heart. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
There you go. It's amazing. Astrology is unbelievable.
And then here, you're about to talk about my arrival in just a second to Leos. Quick little thing on Leos with me, just so I can add a little bit of flavor into this. They're the ones that are born in August. My birthday is actually July 13th. So the ones that are in the middle of July and the rest of August, for some reason, me and Leos go to war. I have a cousin that I love to death. Me and him are close. But for some reason, me and Leos, like, we can go to fisticuffs for some reason, and I don't know why.
Well, I would have to have a look at your chart to see probably where your Mars is placed, because your Mars is where all your aggression comes from, and to see if it's maybe aspecting someone else's planet badly. And maybe, did you say it's your cousin that you feel like going to war with?
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is I get along with my cousin, but every other Leo that I've dealt with in my life, we go to war.
Like every other Leo.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend that was a Leo, and she broke my heart when I was young, and I was bitter for years, like through high school, and I had it set that Leos were no good for me in the world.
Wow. Well, they're very, very out there, Leos. I'll tell you a little bit about them.
Okay.
So they are the 5th in the zodiac. And if you were born with a Leo sun, you were born between the 23rd of July and the 22nd of August, They're the natural leaders of the zodiac. So they're blessed with flamboyance and creativity. Leos are known for their sustainability and their determination and ambition. Leo is also a fire sign. So they are zestful, they're charismatic, they're additionally known for their strength and drive, and they can be a little bit aggressive. So they're ruled by the sun, which is known as actually a luminary. So we can categorize the sun and the moon as planets, but they are actually luminaries because they shine light on us. So as you know, the sun is the biggest luminary in the sky. And this is why Leos maybe think that the world revolves around them, because all the other planets revolve around Leos. So they're sometimes the most noticed person in a room, and they shine like the sun. So if there's a Leo in the room and they've got a lot of Leo placements, you'll always notice them. And maybe in future you can notice and you can say to that person, I know what you are, you're a Leo. And they'll probably say, yeah, I am a Leo. So anyway, so Leos is a fixed sign, which means they are dependable, steadfast, they don't waver, and they're not categorized as flaky. So they're not those flaky signs in the zodiac, and you can really actually depend on them.
Okay, so how does the sun affect Leos? Because, like, you know, we were Cancer, we hit the water signs, so we learned about that. But how does that sun like get deep into them? Like, how does it help them? Personality, mannerisms, things like that.
Okay, well, like I said, so the sun would affect Leo. It would make them shine from the inside. So a lot of the time, you'll see that actors and actresses are Leos. The sun basically shines from the inside. So they want to shine their light on all that is around them. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. And I can think about it because my cousin, he writes songs, and he's got degrees in acting and different liberal arts type stuff. And, you know, he does a lot.
Really?
And he even has a podcast. Yeah. So that's an amazing thing there. And one quick thing I want to throw in here to the audience. I really want to thank Lisa for taking the time to go over the zodiac signs and to be very patient with it, because she could have came in here. She could have just hit us with one liner. She could have been like, Leos, sun signs, they're bad people because they hog out the spotlight. But you're not doing that. You're actually sitting here explaining everything to us. And I appreciate you. So let's dig deeper and let's keep going.
Oh, with pleasure. I love it. I love astrology, and there's just so many layers to it. So, you know, there's so much to all of the signs. I mean, we could do a podcast just on Cancers or just on Leos, but we'll cover everything for now. So, so one more thing about Leos is that they, like you said, they've got massive personalities, and you're never really going to forget the Leo in the room, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're going to get on to Virgos, and I have got two beautiful daughters that are both Virgos. So I know an absolute fortune about Virgos. So they are the sixth in the zodiac, and you were born as a Virgo if you were born between the 22nd of August and the 22nd of September. Virgos are logical, they're systematic and practical with their overall approach to life. They are the perfectionists of the zodiac signs, and they're not afraid to get their hands dirty to refine their skills. Virgos are earth signs. They are practical and grounded and unwavering. Just like Gemini, Virgo is also ruled by Mercury. But what they do differently is they internalize the information that they get, and they make sense of it. They analyze it. They're always thinking. And because of this, they may come off as critical and judgmental. However, I feel that they're just trying to make the world a perfect place, just like they want to see it, because they are perfectionists. Virgos are also mutable signs. So they bring adaptability. to refining their skills and making everything absolutely perfect.
Okay, so Virgos could be the philosophers, or they could be middle management in certain cases.
Exactly.
Because upper management does whatever. Middle management is normally what keeps the wheels turning in any business. So I'm gonna have to check into that and see if I got some Virgos that work with me, because to be sensible, practical like that makes a lot of sense.
And to analyze things and to want to make everything absolutely perfect. And, those are the people that you do actually want on your management team. The people that want to refine things and genuinely care about things.
All right. So inside astrology, what does the sun mean inside of astrology? Because I want to just dig into that just real fast, because we've talked about it in a few instances, and I just want to keep the audience refreshed on that. And anybody joining us now, make sure you rewind this or however you do your playback, and make sure you get the very beginning of this.
Absolutely. So the sun is our vitality. It's our light. It's our ego, not our alter ego, but it's our ego. It's our spirit. And the house where your sun is shows where you will shine your light on the world. So let's say, for instance, I'm an Aries, and my sun is in my third house, which makes me a great writer, and I collect information and I communicate well. Where someone, let's say their sun, then Aries, and their sun is in the fifth house, right? Maybe they would be excellent with children, and maybe they would shine in their creative field. So it doesn't mean that if I've got an Aries sun and you've got an Aries sun, we're exactly the same. We have the same drive, but we would show up differently in the world because of where the sun sits. So the sun basically shows you where you shine in the world. And that's exactly what the sun is.
Okay. I can dig that. Now, you have another sign, the seventh sign.
Yes, I do have a seventh sign. So Libra is the seventh sign of the zodiac. So if you were born a Libra sun, you would be born from the 23rd of September to the 22nd of October. They are fixated with balance and harmony, and they strive to create balance and harmony in all of their life endeavors. Libras are air signs, which means they live in their head, and they try to make things beautiful and balanced in their heads. They are ruled by the sign of Venus, and as such, they love anything beautiful. They love art and beautiful flowers and beautiful antiques and anything that is classy. They are super refined and have absolutely exquisite taste. So Libra is a cardinal sign, and they love to lead with style and grace.
Okay. The Libras are another one of that middle management, probably even upper management, when it comes to balancing things out. Got to be careful with them. I'm assuming you have to be careful with them, because sometimes they get in their heads. And sometimes when we get in our heads, we get in our heads.
And Libras are also great mediators. So if you think about, let's say, someone in human resources, has to be great at mediating people and have to see both sides of the stories, that balance, right? So Librians would be great at that kind of a career path as well.
Mediators. And
mediators, exactly, because they have to see both sides. But in saying that, you can't put anyone in a box, and they would also do well in fashion industry, in the art industry, because they absolutely love anything beautiful.
Okay, and I can run with that.
So the next sign is the eighth sign of the zodiac. And
another enemy of mine.
Yeah.
Another enemy.
Scorpio.
The enemy. We're enemies, Scorpio. Yes.
The enemy, Scorpio. I've got a Scorpio husband, so they're not so bad. I've also got a Scorpio sister. So they do have a sting in their tail. So you must never get on the bad side of a Scorpio. but they're very deep and they're very profound. So let me tell you a little bit about Scorpios.
Okay.
So if you were born with a Scorpio sun, you were born from the 23rd of October until the 21st of November. They are the most misunderstood people. And some people actually think that they are fire signs because they have incredible passion, but in fact, they're water signs. And they derive their strength and passion from the emotional depths of their psyche. They're very emotional and they're actually quite psychic. So Scorpios are water signs and they can come off a little bit reserved. However, they are just deep thinkers and calculated in a good way, of course. Scorpio is the modern ruler. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, and this suits them absolutely perfectly, as Pluto is the farthest planet from the sun and is the most mysterious and deep. Pluto is in charge of transformation and rebirth, and this is what Scorpios are all about and what they do best. So Scorpios are also fixed signs, and their waters and depth run deep. They are trustworthy and unwavering and completely and utterly dependable. I definitely know that about my husband.
Now, with the Scorpios, I don't know. It's weird knowing that we're actually kin because they're water signs like me, but I don't know. Scorpios, to me, the ones that I've dealt with have been high strung, and you have to walk on eggshells with them.
Because they're so deep, their waters just run completely deep. But again, that's just looking at a person's sun sign. I mean, the Scorpios that perhaps that walking on eggshells, perhaps they have their different planets in different houses, and that also colors their personalities. So there's so many facets to what makes a sign and what makes a person.
True.
Yeah. So the 9th sign of the zodiac is Sagittarius. So we've just come out of Sagittarius season, and it's amazing. December is Sagittarius season, and the Sagittarians love to let loose. They're optimistic signs, and it's so amazing at December. And this is obviously when everyone's on holiday, and this is why you have to be like loose and optimistic and party animal. So you were born with a Sagittarius sun if you were born from the 22nd of November to the 21st of December. Sagittarius are fire signs, so they're all about energy and action and motivation. They often get quick to be inspired, and they are very, very effective leaders. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter expands whatever he touches. And this is why Sagittarius people have larger than life personalities and are often the loudest in the room. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so they are flexible with their thoughts and intellect, and you can bend and shape what they feel.
Okay. So so leaders, I don't know. Well, Sagittarius, dealing with them, they are usually my counterparts. I will honestly say, like in management and what I do for a living, I deal with a lot of Sagittarius based on like they complement your ideas and then you complement their ideas. Like they are the feng shui or whatever, if you want to say, when it comes to
so they can say, so they sort of like hippies of the zodiac. They're ruled by Jupiter, and they're just open to all kinds of spiritual ideas and new age thinking. And that's exactly what Sagittarius are like. They're amazing. So the next sign we're going to deal with, and this is the serious sign, it's the sign of Capricorn.
Capricorn.
And today, it's very, very serious people. And today is actually the new moon in Capricorn. So obviously when you listen to this, it would have passed. But Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn, and Saturn is all about strictness and boundaries and rules and regulations. So you were born with a Capricorn sun if you were born on the 22nd of December until the 21st of January. Capricorns are the leaders, they're the CEOs, they're the most serious signs of the zodiac. They're super goal-orientated, and they tend to be workaholics. So think about it. We always set goals in January, right? This
Yes.
is like Capricorn season. This is when you set your New Year's resolutions. So Capricorns are earth signs, and they are completely practical and reliable and stoic. So what you see is what you get, but they're not the life of the party. You will often see them coming home early so they can have a clear head for work the next day. As I said before, Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn. Saturnians are very, very serious people. There's no joking around with the sign. They mean business. And they like nothing more than to get ahead in life. Capricorns are cardinal signs as well. This suits them perfectly as they're excellent leaders, and you'll often find them CEOs of companies.
So they're at the top. And I will say, I have a Capricorn in my household, Stacy. And Stacy is real strong-willed. She works really hard, and it's a certain type of talent she has. Whenever I can get her to come actually over to my job once in a blue moon, if she has extra time, she'll come over and help out with things. And like you said, she has a natural leader ability to her. It's kind of like it's charismatic to a degree. And charismatic enigma. That's the best way to me to describe a Capricorn.
They're amazing. And so, you have to have all type of personalities, and Capricorns just make everything fall into place. I mean, can you imagine the world with just Sagittarians? I mean, nothing would be in place. Everything would just be a big party. So what the Capricorns do is that they put everything in place and they create order out of the chaos. So the next sign is a very zany sign, and I love Aquarius because I'm actually an Aquarius rising.
Oh.
So I am. So I love it. So I'll tell you more about that when we get to it. But if you were born with an Aquarius sun, you were born from the 20th of January until the 18th of February. They are known to be the most innovative and novel and progressive sign of the zodiac. Aquarius is an air sign, so these people are highly intellectual people, and they completely live in their own head. They love to think of new novel and new ways of doing things, and they are complete nonconformist. So Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is known for rule breaking and rebelliousness, and these attributes are so close to an Aquarius's heart and personalities. So Aquarians are also fixed signs. Despite being the rebels of the zodiac, they're actually very steadfast and stubborn people. And once they've made up their mind about something, there is absolutely no going back.
So they're like, they're about like a mule or a donkey. They're stubborn. Once they're set, it's in stone. There are no budget.
Exactly, and that's all of the fixed signs. Actually, once they're set with something, that is it. You cannot move them. Not like the mutable signs. So we're going to speak about another mutable sign now, and we're going to speak about the last sign of the zodiac, which is Pisces. So if you are a Pisces sun, you were born from the 19th of February until the 20th of March. This is the final sign in the zodiac, and they are meant to be the most spiritual people, as they have learned every lesson from the past 11 signs. Pisces is a water sign. This is quite obvious by their glyph, as they're two fishes, but these individuals are really deep and emotional, and one of the most psychic out of the whole zodiac. So Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, Neptune is the king of the sea. He's dreamy and mystical and mysterious, just like Pisces. So Pisces is also a mutable sign. And this is perfectly suited, as you can't pin a Pisces down. They'll swim away like a fish as soon as you get them. They're flexible and adaptable creatures of the zodiac.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
Have you met many Pisces people?
Oh yeah, a lot. And I don't know, something about matter of fact, my Michelle that passed away, she was a Pisces. It was just something different about her. Like it, not to go too deep into that because you can listen to another podcast episode for that. But yeah, like it's something about those people, just the way that they move, the vibe that you get from them. Now, audience, real quick, we have gone over the zodiac signs. We actually have a second episode lined up that you will hear about. You'll hear actually. It'll be a continuation after this episode. So what I want to do real quick is we have an offer that we want to offer you all. And I'm putting it at the end of this episode because when we do the second episode, obviously we'll put it there too. But Lisa, let me hand the floor over to you to explain what this offer that you're offering to them. And I'll go into the logistics of it.
Okay, all right. So I'm offering a personal birth chart, which is a personal natal chart reading to one of your lucky listeners. And here we're going to look at your entire zodiac chart, and we're going to read the first sign right to the 12 signs, where you've got your sun and where you've got all your other placements in the zodiac, and how you basically vibe as a human, and basically giving you your entire blueprint. So yeah, I'm so excited to be able to do this to your audience. There's just one thing I need, and obviously everyone knows where they're born and the date that they were born, hopefully. But what I do need for this natal reading is the time that you were born. And this is so important to me, and it will give me the opportunity to give you the most accurate reading. So there's the giveaway for today's show.
All right. And most definitely, I will have stuff posted up on Instagram, across TikTok, over the rest of the 12 platforms that we like to advertise things across about the natal reading. And on that note, for this episode 1 of Astrology 101, I'm JR and she is Lisa Snyder, and we are signing off for this episode. Lisa, do you have anything at the very end you would like to tell anybody where people can meet and greet you? That's one thing we do. We call it the shameless plug.
The meet greet me, you can always get to my website, and I am at Grand Trine Astrology. That's my Instagram handle, but the website address is just grandtrine.co. So yeah, that's great. I mean, you could also give it to the readers or the listeners if they want, but again, it's grandtrine.co.
And like always with West Virginia and Commonplace, we will have amazing show notes that will have links and everywhere you can go to meet and greet Lisa. And once again, I want to thank you guys for listening. And think like this, people. We're going into a new year. Astrology can help you. So that's the strong point. I normally go deeper and deeper into it, but we're going to be going deep into this. And make sure you stay tuned and listen to the next episode.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at onecommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.